2021 is a special year for everyone who admires the works of the great poet Dante, because we celebrate his 700th anniversary. And of course, we also celebrate his great work, the Divine Comedy, which begins with perhaps one of the most famous lines in the history of literature that say, "Midway upon the journey of our life, I found myself in the forest dark, for the straightforward path had been lost." Those lines had resonated so much in the hearts of so many readers throughout the centuries, because it speaks about the essential part of our human life, of our human condition. We have periods when we feel lost in life, when we lose our direction and we are not certain which roads, which paths to take. In other words, we find in ourselves in a similar dark forest as Dante describes in his work. Dante, of course, wasn't the first one who spoke about the feeling of being lost in life. We can go further back in literature and remember Homer's Odyssey and how Odysseus had to go through many adventures and spiritual transformation before he could return back home. And Dante's Divine Comedy itself is about journey of him going through the circles of hell, then purgatory, and then reaching heaven, where he would finally find the ultimate meaning in his life. In this video, I would like to share with you a poem written by a contemporary writer. Unfortunately, she passed away just 2 years ago, and her name is Mary Oliver. The poem's name is Magellan, which refers to the Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan. I love this poem because it inspires me so much at the times when I feel lost, when I find myself in the dark forest and I need inspiration to continue the journey, to continue searching for the meaning. I'm going to play a video of a lake that is right in front of me, so you can either lie down, relax, and hear this poem as I read it, or you can read it out with me. I'll add the text in the description or on the top of the video.
Like Magellan, let us find our islands to die in, far from home, from anywhere familiar. Let us risk the wildest places, lest we go down in comfort and despair. For years we have labored over common roads, dreaming of ships that sail into the night. Let us be heroes, or if that's not in us, let us find men to follow, honor bright. For what is life but reaching for an answer, and what is death but a refusal to grow? Magellan had a dream he had to follow. The sea was big, his ships were awkward, slow, and when the fever wouldn't set him free, to his thin crew, sail on, he cried. And so they did, carried the frail dream homeward. And thus Magellan lives, although he died.
I find this poem to be incredibly beautiful and inspiring and healing, actually, when I read it, especially at the moments when I feel lost in life and I'm not certain which direction it takes. Because in this poem, Mary Oliver talks about journey before the destination, and I think we get lost very often when we put the destination before the journey itself. I would like to read certain passages to you and kind of think out loud of the reasons why they inspire me. In the first part, Mary Oliver says about us finding our islands to die in, far from home, from anywhere familiar. I associate those lines with the fact that often we can get stuck in our daily routines, in our old mindsets that no longer work. There is a reason why Dante travels through hell and purgatory, and Odyssey travels through different adventures. Both of those characters need to change their mindsets that no longer work. In case of Dante, it is about distinguishing good from evil. In case of Odyssey, it is about changing his mindset after spending a decade in the Trojan War before he will be able to return back home. In the second part, she says, "For years we have labored over common roads, dreaming of ships that sail into the night." I guess those two lines personally to me highlight that we often can live in a dreamlike state. We know what we want, we know what direction we would like to take, but we get stuck in our daily routine. We labor too much over common roads and just dream about the ships that sail into the night instead of actually taking the journey. And then she continues in the second verse and she says, "Let us be heroes, or if that's not in us, let us find men to follow, honor bright." I guess I'm going to repeat myself, but those two lines also strike a deep chord inside myself, because very often we cannot find strength within ourselves to do what we need. Very often it is difficult for us to be the hero of our own journey. And we need to seek inspiration in heroes that are outside of us, in people with whom we align our values with. This is not about the success in the career or in wealth or anything like that. It is more about the spiritual heroes rather than material ones. Then comes perhaps the lines that I've written and then rewritten many times in many editions of my diary for myself. Mary Oliver says, "For what is life but reaching for an answer? And what is death but a refusal to grow?" I think this is what poetry is about. It's about squeezing so much meaning into just two lines, in just perhaps, 10 words, no more. In those two lines, I would like to focus on the word refusal, when Mary Oliver says, "And what is death but a refusal to grow?" I think we feel lost not when we stop growing, but when we refuse to grow. Those two things are very different and separate from each other. Refusal to grow implies an active resistance against growth, and once again it comes from some types of fixed mindsets. Then she continues and she says, "Magellan had a dream he had to follow. The sea was big, his ships were awkward, slow." Once again it highlights the fact that Magellan also faced troubles, but he had a dream that he had to follow. The last verses say, "And when the fever wouldn't set him free, to his thin crew, sail on, he cried." I think our personal journeys are very closely tied with the journeys of people around us, with people who we inspire. And once we won't be able to continue our journey, continue to grow, we should pass the torch to our friends, to the next generations, and tell them to sail on. Of course, we remember Magellan for his journeys, for the routes around the earth that he explored and discovered. But what we remember him for particularly is inspiring many other generations of explorers who decided to take those scary journeys around the earth to find new lands, new islands. And that's the reason why Mary Oliver finishes her poem and she says, "And thus Magellan lives, although he died." Our life would have been very limited if we were born and achieved our goals and then we died and disappeared. Our life continues on when it is inspiring, when we pass the torch to the next generations. I believe the fact that Mary Oliver, as I said, passed away 2 years ago, but her poem continues to inspire me and millions of other people. That's the torch that she passed on to next generation, and that's the reason why we remember. Poetry is useless, however beautiful it could be, if nobody reads it and nobody gets inspired. I started this video with Dante and his journey through hell, purgatory, and then heaven. There is one thing that I didn't mention, is the fact that Dante was accompanied by Virgil, another poet. It was Virgil who continued to inspire Dante to go through all horrific, terrible circles of hell and then purgatory. And this is of course a hint from Dante, hint of what role does poetry play in our lives, because poetry inspires us to get out of our shell, to explore new ways of thinking, to take new spiritual journeys, because each new journey is not about buying a ticket and traveling to a new country. Each journey begins with the spirit. It is first of all spiritual journey, and only then a physical travel or whatever it is.